to do is I want to know, and you may raise your hand multiple times because you're teaching different mechanisms. How many people here are adult evening faculty? Again, you may, okay, a lot. Okay, I'd say almost half, okay? How many are CPP? I know we for sure have a couple. Okay. All right, about 8. All right, and how many are online? Again, you might, oh, wow. Great, great. See, that's why I got to meet so many of these people today. I want to mention too, 3 of the deans that were sitting up here have developed for online and have taught online. And guess who is next? Dr. Peter. He is next to actually develop an online course and to teach it.
I am the envy of deans across the country to have this type of support from not just faculty, but from deans and provosts. I brag on this everywhere I go.
Okay, good. All of us are really busy and really stressful times. Okay, we're not always certain who to contact about what. Hopefully, you got the message that Bev is the main person who wears this hat, along with Ellen. Love you see Ellen. CPP is Carrie. Where is Sarah? There it is. It's Carrie, along with Rebecca Ruse. And online is myself with Ashley. Okay? So we wear a lot of different hats within CAPS. We're not really a 24/7 campus, but boy, you sure would think so based on the time of a lot of the different emails. I mean, more and more so. So one of the things I want to make sure that you know is where you can find some resources when, gee, it was an hour ago and it's Easter Sunday and Liz didn't answer me yet on my email. There's some other tools in that toolbox and places that you can go. Many of the resources that I'm going to show, or all the resources I'm going to show you today, are by NU people. A lot of us spend a lot of time putting things out on the internet and on the Eagle page, so that you have some of these resources. But I doubt somebody's ever kind of said, "Oh, this is where a whole bunch of them are, and these are some that really might interest you." And that's what my goal is in the amount of time that I'm speaking today. And a lot of people spend a lot of time. The disadvantage is the second that you put something on paper or on the internet, it can change. Okay, so just always take things a little bit with a grain of salt, and just be ready to be a little bit flexible about the fact that that happens a lot. Okay, so on the handout, I want you to start out with the one that says Virtual Teaching Toolbox, so you can write anything that you want on this. Again, I will be emailing these to you. Depending on if you're adult evening or online CPP or online graduate, we kind of have standardized the curriculum without being too exact about how some different things are done. We want it so that people can go from class to class, whether they're an adult evening or whatever, and they have a lot of the same elements. Okay, so I'm going to first go to the CAPS website. Okay, and I got there by, and is indicated on this handout, academics. We're under undergraduate, probably because we've gone, we have to go under one area or the other. We should probably be under both now. But anyway, that's where the adult and professional, college adult and professional study. And you'll see that we have adult evening there on this right hand, well, right in the center. And see, we really need more than 3 hats, but I'm only mainly speaking to the 3 of you. Although it's being videotaped so that we can share it also with the Sacramento and some of the Salem people and some of the people that are in those 7 other time zones that are involved in our education or in educating our students. See, I don't have the luxury of teaching all the time anymore, so I do a lot more preparing, and I'm not going to get through it because this isn't the 10th time I've done this. Okay. So on that first side, adult evening, after going alphabetical order. Okay. Lots of different information on here about registrations and CAPS offices and all that. But most of the things I'm going to concentrate on as I go to these 3 different pages, the adult evening, the online, and the CPP, is some of these things on the right that really, really strongly pertain to you. And one of them is, and this is thanks to Rebecca Meadow, wherever she is, because she helped us take care of this. She's taught adult evening, plus she's our program coordinator for CAPS for the education. And what happened to me this morning on my home computer too? I'm not because I don't have page. There. Okay, this is right. Yeah. So there's a lot of different information out there. I love the way that one of the things she did was, and this is more for some of the newer faculty that are teaching adult evening and the like, and there's different guides in the instructor's role and a day in the life. Bev constantly, when somebody's a new adjunct member, she can now point them to this page and say, here's a whole bunch of different things that you can find out about teaching for adult evening. So that's one thing. Also, almost all the pages will have a best practice for instruction. We're going to send you out to other websites that we checked out that we thought said it better than what we could say it, or at least as well as what we could say, as we could say it. So keep looking for best practices. That's important. And there's actually, for this one, the best practices, she went to a different page because there was so much that she wanted to make sure that she talked about.
So can I ask a question? Does that best practices have links to other web resources, or what is it? Is it information we give them, or is it just resources out of
It's resources for you. This is your toolbox. How can you tweak your course a little bit better? How can you, gee, discussions, I wish I knew a better way or how to do discussions. There's no thing on that. But it doesn't mean it wouldn't apply in a classroom, because certain parts of it, maybe they don't have to answer it, by writing it, but they answer it orally in the classroom, so there might be some things on some discussion. So it can be, it's going to send you to other sites, but a lot of the best practices. Church partnership program. Bunch of different resources over here on that as well.
Just for format, maybe Carrie could tell us how many sites, how many buildings we have, how many students. What are we planning for the fall semester? Obviously, no promises because the provost is here, but what are we anticipating for church affiliates?
Well, we've got a total guess. The 49th state was our 49th partner this past week. So the district, Alaska district is our last partner. We'll probably have about 60 partners in probably 8 states by the time fall rolls around. The later we get in the year, the more I start talking about adding partners, the more uncomfortable the provost gets. So, really, we've been building this thing as it's flying. So you'll notice if you look on our site, some of the resources are very good, and some of them we obviously just stuck everything on there we had, and we're in the process of going back through it. But our approach, and I know Liz is following this too, is to use Eagle so that, that whole 24/7, that you can be confident that there's resources on there whenever you need to get to them, and that they're organized in at least a somewhat logical way. Like all the OWL resources that Daryl mentioned are on our academic success. There's little videos that help you how to use the writing center. So it's just hopefully going to be something where you start feeling comfortable with the resources and you can get them yourself as you look at them.
Thank you, Carrie.
And there's a lot of cases, like he said, there's little videos, videos that we made ourselves, as well as some
High quality videos.
single page handouts too, or PDF if you're a paper person. Just like you have to work with the learning styles, the many different learning styles that your students have, we've tried to put resources out there that help you, depending on if you're a paper person, because I still am, or if you're just somebody, I'm going to get it from a video and it's easy. Okay. So lots of different resources. I'm not going to go into all the specifics in here, but each one of these in here, there is one specifically for CPP faculty and staff. But there's a lot of different resources within that section for CPP specifically. I can't remember how many, about 8 CPP we said were here, right? About 8 CPP instructors. The next one I want to go to
So-
anytime.
So it's true that we have CPP students in a large majority of our online ministry courses, right?
And general ed.
Anything.
So many of us are CPP instructors and we may not even know, right?
Very good point. Because,
Right?
right, because there's really a couple more hats here when you're talking online.
Right.
There's two more hats, Salem, Sacramento, well, that's one. Salem is Sacramento, and traditional.
Right.
Right now, there's 99 out of the 700 people, 720 people. There's students enrolled in 720 online courses. That doesn't mean that there's 720 students, because they may be taking multiple. 99 are traditional, so many are CPP, so many are in the graduate level programs that we marketed through IES and certificate systems that they've helped us with, as well as some others. So there's lots of different populations.
So I guess the reason I ask that question is that even if you don't think of yourself as a CPP instructor, knowing how to direct students to CPP resources on the website might be an important skill, because we have students who are part of all these different programs, especially in our online courses. It's a very mixed constituency.
Excellent point, thank you, Jim, for bringing that up, really, because that is a very important thing. And that's one of the reasons that CAPS is jumping around so many things. And that, about a year and a half ago, Jim Bugle said, well, when you talk CAPS, which program are you talking about? And this is exactly why. Kimberly.
So it would be helpful, I think, and I don't know if other people concur, but it would be helpful when we're teaching online, that we're able to tell which program the students are in. So I'm finding that, first of all, if I have a student that's struggling, I don't know which advisor to go to or who do I contact. And then I couldn't even direct them to this section because I don't know if they're CPP. So if I could identify them in that.
Excellent point. Okay, I wrote it down. Good point. Okay. And there are a lot of student resources on those too. So online programs. Okay. Lots of online degree programs now. We started 3 more in the fall. So it's growing. It'll be interesting to see what happens this summer because, of course, a lot of people don't take courses necessarily. Some of the CPP necessarily, unless they decide they want to make something up or they want to take a course. But the schedules are out here, student resources and information services. If you think that you might be interested in understanding a little more about what online teaching or online developing a course is, that's why we have 2 online resources, okay? And if you go into that, there is actually a link to a video that lets you access a sample course and see what it's all about. Keep in, and I should have probably started with this, but Discovery is face-to-face for a live instructor in the classroom, okay? A CPP student could be on Discovery, but if they're taking a course that's 100% online, they're on NU Online, which is also quite often called NEO. Okay, that's just the learning management system. So they may be in a couple of they may use different learning management systems. Some people say, can't we please be on one learning management system? Well, I know that gets evaluated occasionally, but personally, I think it's a lifelong learning skill to learn when you change hats, just like we have in our department. Because I did my master's 100% online. Believe me, the whole writing thing after 30 years of being out of school was like, oh my gosh, because I'm a math person. And I survived it, but I used Owl Purdue, I used Zotero, I used a bunch of other things, and I had to teach myself because I was an adult going back to school later on. This is something else. That's part of me.
Liz, one of the big shortcomings I've seen of using the online is
Yes.
the lack of a tool like Turnitin.
Yeah.
But you're saying
Okay,
that
now-
Turnitin is coming, right?
It is starting in May, yes.
Why is it so difficult to get into our online, into our learning management?
You turn it in connected?
Yes.
It's behind the scenes, it's the technology side.
So our psychology classes have been the first ones using it, and I'm kind of the pilot right
She
now.
was definitely.
And so it's been amazing. I have been pushing it, and now we're starting it.
Oh,
again.
really? We didn't know that.
Well, one, it's just you can grade faster too, right? Drop and drag your comments. You don't have to download all the papers to your computer. You don't have to re-upload. I've saved hours and hours.
I look at this as phase 2 when it comes to online education at Northwest with having the turn it in. It was all the mechanics behind the scene. It was not the need to find or our desire to have it.
And what we've done, and you're gonna hear a lot more about this, I know there's a lot of online educators, but we've got a whole bunch of materials that are coming up for communicating how this is gonna look and what your students are gonna see, and then we have a student communication piece that Ashley and I are working up right now. When Kimberly went in to her turn it in and check the first paper, all her comments that she used for adult evening were all there. So you don't have to redo some of that stuff. I know that there's some of you here, a lot of you are adjunct, I know what I was gonna say, is that with that turn it in and just in general, make sure you're engaging these students and that you're communicating with them on that message board in the front end of your courses. Because that is so important to make sure that you're engaging those
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
When you use Turnitin, my suggestion, and this is what I did for my class, is before the class starts, let them know that they're going to be getting a similarity score and that they can upload their paper up to 3 times before the paper is due. So if they see that they have a high similarity score, they can rewrite their paper, and I try to put the responsibility in their hands. So, let them know, let them be aware that this is coming, and
that's the learning aspect of this academic honesty.
yeah.
Okay? This report gave it, gee, I didn't put it in quotes, or yeah, I guess I really did paraphrase, or didn't paraphrase it differently enough, or something like that.
Is that something brand new that they can upload it 3 times? Because that's a fairly new function.
If it's before the assignment date.
What's that?
Before the due date. They
Oh,
can't
before
do
the
that,
due date?
they can't do it after.
They can run it through turn it in to see what their score will be if they use that paper.
You have to set a
It
certain
depends on how you set
Well,
the.
You'll set it. You'll get.
You see something, Kimberly piloted it, she knows turn it in really well. If you're new and you've never used turn it in before, just get back to us and we'll make sure that we help you do all that. Another thing that's on here is that faith integration piece. We've got a link to the faith integration site. The Council of Christian Colleges and Universities that can help you some with that faith integration piece if you want to know more about that, because that is an extremely important component. And when Ben talks in a minute, I'm going to talk about his educator page, or actually some Office of the Provost. They also have a link to this site and some podcasts and all kinds of different things. You have gazillion tools here, people, and that's my point right now. And it doesn't mean that you have to open up that toolbox and say, oh my gosh, there's so many, I can't do it, and close it. It means open the toolbox and say, gee, I'm going to get a little better on engaging my students by reading this best practices thing on discussions or something of that nature. Okay? And we have a couple more minutes, and I'm going to keep us on task here. The last thing I want. Okay. That was Eagle. If you flip the page over, good old Lynette. I just love her. Discovery, all kinds of things that she has on this link. Panopto, just how to use the smart podium, other technology tools. Very cool. This is how I survived being a non-writer in what I had to be a writing world because of my master's. This is terrible. That and citation machine. Two of the big things that really help, and Owl Purdue. Those 3 things, if I had to say 3 things that helped me make it through 100% online master's program, those were the 3 things. Because it's just not my forte. So Lynette has a lot of resources there. Information technology. The IT department. Do you people realize that you can actually get your own version of Office for almost free? Don't go and pay for it when you order a new machine. You can download it from here. The other thing is, especially you adjuncts that aren't on all the time, you have to change your password every 6 months.
What was that again?
You have to change your password every 6 months or you will be locked out. You will have to call IT. Okay, so go in here and make sure you understand the complexities of that password. You will get an email, but what if you say, oh, I just got done teaching. I'm not teaching for 6 or 8 months again. So I'm just not going to check my NU email for a little while, for whatever. Okay, and then all of a sudden you can't even get into your email, which means that you also can't get into NU online if you're teaching online. Make sure that you keep tuned into the fact that your password isn't changed. You will get emails for 30 days in advance. You'll get a bunch of different emails. Okay, but just it's something that we run into a lot of times with online students and online teachers because they don't take a course as often maybe online. Okay, so I want to make sure that I brought that point up. And as I said, Office of the Provost also has a great page. There's the good old Jim who's still up there. And I know Ben, and then maybe there's other people who help with it too. There's a great educator resources page here. Curriculum mapping, course development, course evaluations, which Ben is going to talk about next. Teaching and learning. There's some different free newsletters you can get. There's podcasts. There's all kinds of things. This little search here in Eagle, think of it as a Google search for Eagle because it's really, really good. So if I wanted to know something about faith integration, I could put faith integration there. I bet you that Ben's faith would come up, mine would, and probably some other resources from the college. Okay? One last thing, and I did this on purpose this way. I'm not going to literally go over this page because I wanted to make sure I stayed within my time. If you are an online instructor, you have access to 2 different groups, a developer group and a professor resources group. Okay, there's all kinds, there's videos out there, there's PDFs, there's all kinds of different things. When you're developing, you can look at those things. If you're interested in possibly developing, you can go in there and see what some things look like. There's lots of different resources there as well. Right now, I would say probably 95% of you are already in these 2 groups. If you aren't, in 2 weeks, everybody will be, because right now, I have to manually add everybody as they become an instructor or a developer, and we're automating that. So that's another really good way, and I hope that showing you all these different things empowers you a little bit more to change and be a little better teacher, engage your students more, and